Hello, I'm Mary. This is The Harboring Light. I give a conservative take about the world around me. So my social media links will be provided along with Substack and email. So audio platforms, I'm on Audible, Amazon Music, Spotify for podcasters, Overcast, Pocket Cast, iHeartRadio, and I'm looking to go to where you enjoy your podcast. I'm on that. So, this episode is about Woody Guthrie. So let's dive in. So before I start talking about Woody Guthrie and his legacy, I would like to give my thoughts on particularly his folk music style and what his message that he was sending and talking about during his era. I think it's really speaks volumes to the importance of being humble and the everyman and the importance of persevering through really hard obstacles. Woody Guthrie, when he was singing, performing, he was writing songs during the time of the Great Depression. Many people in that time, from what I understand and what I've read about the Great Depression, suffering and dealing with such great issues that would tear anyone apart, even the strongest apart, dealing with extreme poverty, extreme issues with job seeking opportunities as far as job growth, and families not knowing where their next meal will come from. And then on the horizons with another world war approaching. Just a lot of turmoil going on. And his music unified and showcased that, from my point of view, the importance of your hometown, where you came from, your country, and protecting it and preserving it for future generations. And to always remember that in the midst of everything, there is light in the darkness. All right, so let's get into it. Woody Guthrie was an American folk singer and songwriter who chronicled the struggles of common people, more so the problems people were facing during the Great Depression. Now I'm going to do a recap about the Great Depression. It was a worldwide economic downturn that began in 1929 and lasted until 1939. It was by far one of the longest and severe depressions that impacted the industrial Western world. Through enacting a structural change in economic institutions by implementing microeconomic policy and theory. Even though the Great Depression originated in the United States, it caused drastic declines in output, severe unemployment, and acute deflation in almost every country of the world. To note, before I go into talk about the last part of the background of Woody Guthrie, when I mentioned Woodrow Wilson, I said the 37th president. In fact, he was the 28th president. And excuse my French on that. Pardon my French on that. I just want to give you that note before you hear the last part of this segment. All right, so here we go. Guthrie, the third of 5 children, was the son of a one-time cowboy, land speckler, and local Democratic politician who named him after President Woodrow Wilson, which was the 37th president. His mother introduced her children to a wide variety of music. She was thought to be mentally ill and was institutionalized when Guthrie was a teenager. Her erratic behavior was caused by Huntington's disease, a relatively rare and very fatal hereditary neurological disease that is characterized by irregular and involuntary movements of the muscles and progressive loss of cognitive ability. So at the time, this disease was first described by American physician George Huntington in 1872. Okay, so moving on. All right. So symptoms of Huntington disease usually appear between ages 35 and 50 and worsen over time. Little was known about this disorder at the time, which sadly afflicted Guthrie too. His family lived near Oakham, that is, Oklahoma, a small agriculture and railroad town that was booming in the 1920s when oil was discovered in the area. The effect on the town and its people became of decline that followed the boom sensationalized the young. More along the lines of it sensitized the young Guthrie to other suffering, which he had also experienced firsthand through the calamities that fell upon his broken family. Soon after his mother was institutionalized, Guthrie began rambling, also known as often roaming, for the first time, coming to love the life on the road. Though he often left Oakham to travel during his teens, he always returned to continue his high school education. At the age of 19, he relocated to Pampa, Texas, where he married Mary Jennings, with whom he had 3 children. When the Great Depression deepened and brought, in turn, a large section of the Great Plains. Now, the Great Plains is between the Rio Grande in the south and the Mackenzie River at the Arctic Ocean in the north, and between the interior lowland and the Canadian Shield on the east and the Rocky Mountains on the west. Now, it was widespread and it went into the Dust Bowl, making it impossible for Guthrie to support his family. He again took to the road. Like so many other displaced people from the region, known as Okies, which was a collective term for them, regardless if they were from Oklahoma or not, he headed towards California to play his guitar and harmonica and singing in taverns. He tackled odd jobs and visited hobo camps as he traveled by freight train, hitchhiked, or simply walked westward. In Los Angeles, In 1937, Guthrie landed a spot performing on the radio, first with his cousin Jack Guthrie, then with Maxine Christman. She was also known as Lefty Lou. At that time, Guthrie began songwriting in earnest, giving voice to the struggles of the disposed and downtrodden while celebrating their impeccable spirit. Guthrie's politics became increasingly left-leaning by the time he moved to New York City in 1940. He became an important musical spokesman for labor and populist segments, embraced by left-leaning intellectuals and courted by communists. Guthrie became one of the principal songwriters of the Almanac Singers. Now, this was a group of activist performers including Lead Belly, Peter Seeger, Sonny Terry, Brownie McGee, and also Cisco Houston, who used their music to attack fascism and support humanitarian and leftist causes. In 1941, Guthrie made his first recordings with vocalist, that is, Alan Landmack, and traveled to the Pacific Northwest, where a commission to write songs in support of the federal dam building and electrification progress. As the politics became more conservative and the fast-moving pace of the 1950s, Guthrie and his folk singer friends in New York kept the movement of activist music alive. He continued writing and performing politically charged songs that inspired the American folk revival of the 1960s, the head of which were performers such as Bob Dylan, Joan Baez, and Philip Oakes, who came to play homage to Guthrie in the hospital room in which he was in New Jersey, to which he was confined, beginning in 1954. After his increasingly erratic actions were finally corrected, they were diagnosed as a result of Huntington's disease. Among the more than 1,000 songs that Guthrie wrote, a number of them were children's songs written in the perspective of childhood. At the time of his death in 1967, Guthrie began to establish legendary status as a folk figure, and his influence on singing inspired singer-songwriters such as Bob Dylan and Bruce Springsteen. In 1976, Bound for Glory, a film by Hal Ashby, chronicled Guthrie. Although it did not do well at the box office, the film was received with many Academy Award nominations as one of the best pictures, along with being well received among film critics. Now, in 1998, Billy Bragg and alternative rockers Wilco released the critically acclaimed Mermaid Avenue. Now, this was a collection of previously unrecorded lyrics by Guthrie that they had set music. Mermaid Avenue, Volume 2, followed up in 2000. All right, so this reaches the end of the Harboring Light. So on Wednesday, I'm going to go in depth about Guthrie's folk canon, his music, and I'm going to also add in pop culture references about it. Particularly, there's a pop culture reference about one of his songs in The Simpsons, and just expanding on all of that and giving more thoughts. All right. tune in, turn up, and definitely take care. And also, feedback is really, really important. So please reach out to me, whether it be the social media, X, Minds, whether it be Substack, and email. It'd be greatly appreciated. All right. Thank you so much out there. Keep listening. Take care.